Hi, so my name is Marie-Pier and I'm a Notion creator and ambassador. I love spending my time making templates for people like me, so people who are freelancers, people who manage not just a business but also a family side of things. I've got 3 little ones, so some of the templates I'm making take that into account. So let's get into it. So Notion Marketplace. There are lots of things to love and there are things that are still work in progress. So while some of these work in progress things might seem a bit frustrating for now, I have faith that they will change in the long run. But to get started, let's first take a dive into the actual system and let me show you what it looks like. So over here, you're into the first page of your creator profile. It's pretty straightforward. You've got a banner, you've got a profile photo, and then as you scroll down, you can add a lot of different information. You can also choose to let people email you, which is pretty cool because that way if people want to ask questions before they buy a template, before they download one, or if one that they've downloaded needs a bit of work, something doesn't work quite right, they can contact you. I've had people do this very recently, and it's really useful for me to know that someone can simply get in touch with me and I can help fix whatever's not going on or explain how something works. Very often, that's all I need to do is explain how something works. You can have a bit of a description and a few links that link to what you want to. Now over here, Sell with Notion, this is where you set up the connection between Stripe and Notion so that you can put templates for sale. You can definitely have templates on your Notion creator profile without selling, which means if Stripe doesn't work in your country or your goal is not to make money, you just want to put some templates out there and give them out for fun, this is something you can do. Now this setup when I did it, which was in probably around November, October and November of last year, so 2024, it took a little while before everything got connected. A little while, it means it was about a week or two between doing all the steps and for this to happen. I don't know if it has changed since. I know it took a while at the time because that's when they had announced Notion Marketplace. A lot of people are trying to join at the same time, and I think it was just taking a bit of time to go through all of the people who were trying to join the creator side of things. So once this is set up, you can just click here and then you go to the Stripe side of things. I won't get into this today. This is not the aim of my video. I want to show you how Notion Marketplace works. Now, you're here to sell your templates. So what you need to do is go on the left side, click templates, and this is where you see all your templates. This is where you can see when you've made a sale or different things like that. So over here in Draft, this is where you would start when you make a template. So I'll show you quickly because it's pretty simple. So the first thing is you need to start adding a title to your template and then fill out the rest of the information. So the information that you're going to be asked. So first the template link so people know where to go so that when people select your template, they're taken to the right place. You'll need to have this here. Now, one of the things that I both love and do not like that much about the images is that you can simply enter a link and it generates an image for both desktop and mobile. Some of my templates are really made to use only on desktop and some of them are optimized for mobile. But it asks you for the same page to provide a screenshot of both. And when you decide to do a tool that is really meant to be used on the desktop app or from a browser from a computer screen, it's completely different from mobile, and you don't have the option to choose, I don't want to show the mobile image or I don't want to show the desktop. I'm really focusing on a mobile app. So that's a bit of a limitation. It also forces you to ask yourself when you're making a template, will it work on any device? So pros and cons, I'd love to have the flexibility to choose which one I'm doing. It is forcing me to work a bit more on the mobile side of things, which I think a lot of template creators are forgetting. It looks great on their computer. You go on the mobile side of things and you realize, oh, that doesn't work quite as right. So a blessing in disguise, maybe. I'd love the flexibility. Now, when you keep going down, you can add the different categories. If you're not quite sure, let's say it's personal. If I remember correctly, it should search it and then you get to pick some categories that are already there. So you can start to decide what type of template it is based on the existing category. So you don't need to reinvent anything over here. Now, this is where the paid template feature can happen if you've got a connection to Stripe. So when you switch to paid, you can sell with Notion or with a third-party platform. What that means is if you sell with Notion, you'll put the price and then that integrates with the Stripe integration you've already set up. If you do other, let's say you're selling your template via another mechanism like Gumroad, Lemon Squeezy, or if you have a Stan store, anything like that, that's where you could simply put the link, and when the person wants to buy your template, it will be taken out of Notion to the third-party platform to buy what you want to do. To buy your template. Now here you can set the price. Right now the price is only in US dollars, so good thing about that, all the templates are priced in US dollars, so it's a little bit easier to compare because it's all on the same kind of the same level, if you say, instead of having to compare different currencies, which can happen on third-party platforms. At the same time, for some countries, the US dollar is not very it's not really good right now, so you might want to offer a different currencies for the people who are in your country. You can't really do that here. I know I sell some templates on Gumroad, and I can put in place pricing parity so that the pricing is fair depending on where the person is when they buy my template. This is not something that is possible yet with Notion. And now another thing that you can do, which you can't do with third-party platform, is lock the access to your template. So open means when they buy your template, they can duplicate it, but anyone could really ask for a refund or do something like that and still have your template. This is one of the issues, one of the realities of it. At the same time, for me, it feels like a thing where if someone wants to steal my template to not pay for it, they really, really need it, go for it. It's not the end of the world. The people who know the value of the templates will go and pay for them. So you can have it open or you can have it restricted, which means people can duplicate it for themselves, so they have the template they bought, but they cannot share it with others. They cannot duplicate it to sell it to others. Or it also means one of the features I know that comes with that is that if someone is asking for a refund, they will also be locked out of that template once the refund is processed. So over here you have a small description and then you've got full description. These are working pretty good, but I am finding that it's a little bit limiting in terms of the layout you can use for the description compared to some other tools. You can't really add headers or bullet points or anything like that to make reading of the description a little bit more enticing, or just to break it up a little bit differently. So you have to follow this just very simple text and use things like em dashes or little to make bullet points or things like that. And then the last thing, which is also very useful, is asking people if they need to leave an email to be able to access your templates. I do a lot of templates for free. For me, it's a way to also get people to get to know my templates. And then it's for me, I want to get their emails because I want to be able to ask for reviews. I want to know what they think about. And if I send or if I update any of my templates, I want to be able to reach those people and say, hey, there's a new version, here it is. Or if I do a template that's kind of an upgrade on the one they had, I want to be able to let them know about that. Maybe they're interested. So there's three options here. There's none, so people don't need to leave their email. There's optional, so it's up to them, or there is required. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. So this is how you set up the templates. The one thing that I have to say I'm finding tricky with those templates, so the one thing that I am finding tricky is once they go from draft, they don't go straight from draft to publish when you hit publish. It's gotten a little bit faster, but there is a process where you go from a draft template to one that's being reviewed for approval. So the Notion team does review the templates to make sure they don't break any rules, that they're good enough, and that they work with Notion and all that. So there is a bit of a lag between doing a template and having it published. Compared to when you use a third-party platform, you can choose to open it up to people when you're ready. So you can have a proper launch and know when it's available and all of that. So over here you can see I've got the list of all of my templates that are available, both free and paid. And I can go in and edit the template, meaning I can edit the description, I can change the price, I can change the email requirements and all that. But every time that you make an edit like that within, or an edit to the template page within the creator space, you go through that process of waiting for it to get reapproved. So you have to be really conscious that if you make any updates, to the template page for the creator profile, it takes a while before it's live. Now you can go straight into the template itself and make changes there. Those will be live as soon as they're done, but it's more about the description, and if you're updating images, for example, or things like that, that then takes it back to a draft state before it is officially published. So that is one thing to consider if you're thinking about Notion Marketplace. Now, there's different integration analytics. You can have coupons as well. Learn is more about linking to the Notion content that shows you how Notion Marketplace works. So I'm going to skip integration today, but I will take some time to go into analytics. The analytics are pretty basic right now. You've got top line metrics, template views. You cannot change the number of days. You cannot necessarily see, like for me, it's the total template views and downloads. I would love to know how many views of which template, how many downloads of which template. I can't really know that right now. I'd love to know not just the last 7 days, but I'd love to know the last 30, last 90 days, the last year, as an overall. Now over here, you do get to see the views and downloads like this. I want to be able to see it on the graph. I'd love to compare it, have a bit more of a visual side of it. Just the way there's charts now, I'd love to be able to create that with this over here. Now, the last part of sort of analytics, which I want to talk about over here, is the side where, well, how do you know when someone's bought a template or downloaded it? So for that, you have to go back to templates, and over here you'll see at the top it says you've made a sale. I have to say this is probably the bit that I'm finding the most tricky to work with, and it's one of the parts of the system that feels like it's very, very basic and needs a big improvement. If you want to know who's bought your template, you have to click this download CSV file, and then you don't get the actual file, you get an email sent. So then you have to go to your email to then see another link inside the email that you then click, that then allows you to download this file. So even just having to do that extra step to go from this space to going back to my inbox, to me that feels like, for a tool that says it's supposed to save us a lot of time, that feels really clunky. And now this is how I get to know who's bought what. And it ends up looking like a big CSV file where I get to know a lot of details, like who downloaded what at what date, and I get their emails. That's how I get the email, and I know the email of the person associated with the template that they did get from me. That CSV file goes back about 3 or 4 months. 3 months if I'm correct, from what I'm seeing. So it means that every time someone makes a sale, there's no automatic way for me to get their email and get it onto my mailing list and being able to say a quick thank you email and all that. Now over here you see there's the integrations, and I might need to do integrations to make that work. I am not someone who is very familiar with the API and knowing how to use it. So it feels like that's an extra step that requires a lot more knowledge of the API and how it all works to be able to get that email. I'm not even sure if these are connected. So I would love a much more easier way to be able to come here, see my sales, see the list of the names, and being able to get those emails and integrate them into my mailing list, the system that I've got to be able to get in touch with the people who got my emails and to have a better idea of what it's like. So the last thing that I have to say is, a lot of people ask me, well, is it worth it? Are you actually making money from this? Is it better than using another platform and all that? I have a few things to say about that. All right, so is it actually worth it to put your templates out on Notion Marketplace? To me, it is worth it for some of my free templates. Notion, its own platform, attracts so many people, and it makes it much easier for people to get a template when they can do it within the platform itself. It probably gives it a bit more backing where people trust it more if your template's already on their store, so that Notion has says, yeah, good template, go get it. It works. So that's one way where I've noticed the traffic to my templates is much higher than the traffic I get to my templates via Gumroad or on their third-party platforms. To get traffic to those third-party platforms, you need to be active elsewhere. You need to be able to promote your templates, whether it's via a newsletter, social media, whatever it is that you do, so people know who you are, what templates you make, and how those templates can help them. That work still needs to happen. So putting your template out there with Notion, the cool thing about it is it requires a little bit less work for people to notice your template, because they're already in Notion, they're already interested. So in terms of when we talk about marketing and funnels, you're already with people who are familiar with Notion, so you don't need to convince them first to use Notion. They're already there for templates, they know what they want, so they're very likely to get them. However, in terms of the ones that are paid templates, I'm not necessarily seeing more sales being done in Notion than other platforms, and I'm actually seeing more sales on the other platforms. I suspect, and when I say other platforms, for me it's Gumroad at the moment. When I write my page, I can write it like a sales page. I can explain a lot more. I can make it look a lot prettier. I can add a lot more information about the template in the description of the template, so that by the time a person lands there, whether it's through having known me from social media and other places, having heard about it from a newsletter, or straight from Gumroad, because they do have the Gumroad Discover, they get a bit more incentive to buy the template because they know what it's about. With Notion, I find the description, the space allowed for it, and more the features about laying out how I want to show the information is still somewhat limited, and it looks same compared to all the other products. So for me to stand out compared to all the other templates, our template descriptions all look about the same. Some are shorter, some are longer, but that's about the only difference that you've got. So that's one of the ways where I'm noticing that for paid templates, I'm making more sales on third-party platforms, because by the time the person gets there, they've known me, they know my templates, they might have attended a workshop I've given, they have a reason to buy my template. On Notion Marketplace, however, I have a feeling people go there, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic. For free templates, it's great. I've had so many more downloads that way. My free templates on Gumroad have actually dropped, but they've increased 10 times on Notion Marketplace, so I'm not mad about that. But the whole process of getting those emails, getting in touch with the people, and having some sort of flow happening where once they get a free template, we can kind of build up on that, and I can then sell a paid template. It's clunky right now. It's a lot of effort and time. So it's up to you whether Notion Marketplace is for you or not. It doesn't take long to set up. So if you just want to give it a try, and especially if you're working with a few free templates, I'd say give it a go. If you're doing it because you wonder if you can make money from that, whether just as a side hustle or a full-time gig, no matter where you put your templates, whether it's Notion Marketplace or a third-party platform, you're gonna have to do the work of actually selling it. You're gonna have to be out there doing social media posts, doing workshops, finding ways to get people to want to buy your templates. Because this is what I've noticed. I make more sales when I make more marketing completely outside of whatever platform my templates are on. Templates don't just sell themselves magically. You still have to do that work. But if you're looking to get emails from a free template, Notion Marketplace is pretty good for that. It's got a decent amount of traffic. People can still leave ratings and reviews. So if you have a good template and people leave reviews, it starts to make it look better. But it is limited compared to some other platforms. So it's up to you. Is it for you? Is it not for you? I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to see how it improves, how it changes, and hopefully some of the things that I'm finding clunky right now will change down the road. That's kind of how Notion in general has felt for me. There were things I could not do even just a year ago that it can now do, that is saving me a lot of time. So I'm going to have a bit of faith. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and we'll see if I'm still there in a year or 2 or 3. Thank you for listening to me. If you'd like to know more about the work that I do, I have a newsletter where I recap all the Notion news every single week that you can sign up for. It'll be down in the description. Or you can simply get in touch with me. I'm a pretty open book. Send me an email if you have any more questions about Notion Marketplace or selling it on other platforms. If you'd like me to talk about that, just let me know. Thanks and have a good day.